So yeah, we are group 4, and as you know, we're working on Ebola and Twitter data. As you know, we started with a sociological approach, and we started asking the question that what does the data tell us? We soon realized that it doesn't tell anything to us about the facts on Ebola. Instead, it tells us something about the reaction on Ebola. This reaction could be from the public, it could be from the government, or it could be from the media. So we developed our research questions based on the theory from Cohen, moral panic, and agenda setting theory from Matt Compton Shaw in 1972. So Cohen suggests that there is a possibility that at some stage some news article or the crisis that is happening is going to affect public's opinion on things. And he identifies two key actors in this, folk devils and moral entrepreneurs. Folk devils are those who can be blamed for the situation and are prone to be subject of hostility. On the other side, moral entrepreneurs are those who might try to shift the social norms. So we were kind of thinking, would it be possible to see the correlation between what's happening inside the news and from the perspective of different stakeholders, and see if there is any correlation between that and the public's reaction on Twitter. So the objectives were how do the tweets propagate from official sources, and what strategies are used to proliferate information or misinformation. We wanted to see the public reaction and identify those key actors. So the way we designed the analysis was to first classify unofficial and official accounts. Now,
I'm sorry, can I ask for quiet in the room whilst the groups are presenting? It's very distracting and we can hear. Even though you think you're speaking quietly, we can hear very clearly when you're speaking. So if you could remain quiet while the groups are presenting, it would be appreciated. Thank you. Please carry on.
Okay. So this might not say anything because official accounts are not necessarily representatives of those three stakeholders, and the unofficial accounts are also not representative of the public reaction necessarily. But we try to investigate it to see if we can then try to prove or refute it. So the second step we took was to identify similar concepts that allow the data to be grouped. We did that through topic modeling, and we wanted to identify those first amongst the unofficial Twitter accounts, and then go and try to find similar concepts in the official Twitter accounts. After that, we wanted to do a temporal analysis on media, government, industry, and see if there is any correlation between that and the public reaction. Then we wanted to identify the key actors and the possible anomalies that happen there. And after all, we wanted to do a geospatial clustering and see whether we could track those topics within different locations that these media are based at. So this is basically the whole overview of our design process. And we will get back into it. So I'm going to pass on to Joseph, who's going to get you through the classification.
Okay, we have considered official accounts as stakeholders and the unofficial accounts as the public. First, in our data set, there was a verified field. If verified field was true, then it was official account. If it was false, then it was the public. And verified accounts are not allowed for not open for everyone. As you can see here, I got this from Twitter. They don't accept requests for verification from the general public, so not everyone can have verified accounts. Also, as you can see on the right hand, if it's a verified account, you have those blue check mark right next to your name. So first step was to see this field and get the official accounts. And the next step we did was compare the number of followings and followers. If the number of followers were much bigger than the number of followings, then there is higher possibility that the account is official. There's an example. Typical normal accounts would have almost the same number of following and followers, but official accounts usually have a lot more for numbers than the number of followings. And yeah, and this now I'm going to talk about the things that we could have done, and we could have looked up the list of the official accounts and used them as like a dictionary to find out which account is official. And also we could have done a crowdsourcing and figure out which accounts are official. And also we could have analyzed the actual tweets to see if the tweet contains slang or formal language, because official accounts are not, they tend to not use slang words. Yeah, now I'm going to pass my microphone to Mohammed.
Okay. So, okay. Till now, we classify tweets into official and unofficial. So we need some insight from the data. So the first question is that what each of these two parties, what content they publish online. So we apply the topic modeling tool on just one day, because actually there was a problem with the type of calling the data, getting the data from the server. And then we found that, okay, the official accounts just sometimes official accounts talk about the one point, while unofficial accounts talk about the other point. For example, here, the topic that general public talk about is more about the news that media publish. And from the other hand, there are some media that talk about the industry. So we are interested to find this correlation. And so we try to find the grounded theory that why people publish about this some specific data.
So this is what we find out. So for the topic one, we find out that Ebola had hit 80% of the topic, and followed by panics, West, and gaming games, mobile, and sales, and the plague. And from the top, for the unofficial account for topic four, we saw Ebola, nurse. These are the keywords that from the topic. So as you can see, the official account, the why there is a panic, gaming, and sales. What indicates the topic of it? So as you can see, there's a the Plague Inc. actually is a game that play with a virus. So actually, we find out that from the topic itself, it increased the sales over 50% during October 29. And then for the unofficial account, the we see some news about the nurse, the dogs from the government about the Ebola. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, and we also run the topic modeling for larger period, and then we found that, okay, there are this another example of the two different topics from the two important topic in the official segment and the unofficial segment. That actually somehow, because there was not because of the sake of time, we didn't process all of the topic, but it shows that these two different published different information on the social media. And the next is that what we can do.
Right. Instead of just getting the data from tweets, we did analyze data from real worlds, which get from World Health Organization (WHO). So there are Ebola confirmed cases and the confirmed death cases data sets that being analyzed. After that, I've decided to have a deep in research on how these confirmed death and cases are related to the different stakeholders' reaction and public reaction from within tweets. So this is actually the expected outcomes for the correlations of real actual data and from the social media tweets. But because of the limitations of the timelines, we could not get the data that is flow nicely. So could this is just a temporal analysis, right? Next is the limitation of pass on to Joseph.
Okay, we had a lot of
2
limitations.
minutes. 2 more
Okay.
minutes.
Not all tweets were in English. As you can see on this graph is actually from 2014 March. As you can see, English is the majority, but there are also a lot of Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, Indonesian. And in our tweets, there are a lot of Indonesians and Spanish. So we couldn't process all of them. And data was really partial. We had tweets only from October 29th, November 3rd, 4th, 12th, 22nd, 23rd. So yeah, we couldn't really show you and analyze how it changed over time. And we, as I mentioned in the previous slide, we also made some classification steps that we could have done. And unofficial accounts do not represent the public reactions. So that's the biggest limitation we had. And also, on some of the tweets, they won't have contents in their tweets, but the content would actually be in the URL that they mentioned. For instance, tweet can be like, "This is so funny, ha ha ha," and then URL. The actual content of the tweet, what the person wants to say, is actually in the URL, so we couldn't analyze that. And for future work,
Okay.
Okay, so just to wrap it up quickly, so for the future, we could possibly go and explore the rumor networks and try to identify the provenance of the flow of rumors in there. We could try to then explore potential patterns, and especially we could compare these patterns with previous crises that happened, such as swine flu, and we could see whether there are any sort of similarities between the way that information or misinformation has been proliferated amongst these outbreaks. Also, we could do some sort of a meta clustering in which, at the moment, we've got some topics kind of that we have decided these are the most frequent topics that have been talked amongst official and non-official accounts. But for the future, we could basically try to cluster them even more and try to find the overlapping concepts that is undergoing all these different stakeholders' content.
So one another possibility is that to find out is there any difference between the Twitter tweets that publish from different location or different places of the world. So we can do this, but one problem is that not all of the tweets have some joyous information. So for to do this, we need to identify their location and so on, create some map to represent the scale of each topic from each part of the world, and also we can do that some kind of sentiment analysis based on their location. And so this is just the initial study. But the good point that I need to add here that when some event happen, different people, different group have different perspective about that event. For example, here this is the web science summer school, but different group that came from different university talk about different aspects of this web science. Some from the UK talk about social impact, some from the NUS talk about the information retrieval, and from the Tsinghua University they talk about the knowledge. So we need to find out is there any relation from these different aspects, these different description or not. And thank you very much.